Welcome back, Nick Lenz's movie reviews. This is episode 45 and triple feature number 11. Next three Halloween films. First up, Halloween 2. Jamie Lee Curtis, Donald Pleasence is returning to reprise the roles in the first film. Now, this film picks up right where the last film leaves off. Yep. They do this also in the only other times they use flashback of the ending of the previous film for this series. Aside from this film, the only other film they do this for is, on top of my head, I think they do this also for the fifth film, and they do this also for the last film they ever did. Halloween Resurrection. I'll get to that one. Probably I'll get to Halloween Resurrection next episode. But this one is actually good. Now, unlike in the first film, where he killed 3 people in the present day time, this film, he kills 7 people. And it's mentioned because it takes place the same night as the previous film, that he has killed 10 people combined both films. And overall, actually, he's killed 11 people. Overall. And actually, the first kill is done just before they actually do in the opening like couple minutes of the film. He just takes a kitchen knife and just stabs some random person. And here's the thing: the kills are actually a lot more bloodier than they were in the first one. This film came out in 1981, and the film itself is only an hour and 33 minutes, which is not unusual for this film being this long. No, it isn't. The one way that this film was known for much bloodier was the fact they pretty much kind of reused the same opening title sequence they used in the first film, except when they got to the pumpkin opened up and there was a skull inside. That's how we know, yeah, this is not... Now, John Carpenter just wrote... I believe he just wrote and produced this film. Yeah. His only credit for this film is he wrote and produced this film. Now, this is the film they revealed that Jamie Lee Curtis was, in fact, Michael Myers' sister. Now, the reason why this was revealed was because John Carpenter was suffering through writer's block. So, he had to think of something for this film. So, that's the reason why that in the very film itself, that is the reason why that the revelation happened. That John Carpenter was just suffering through writer's block, so that's the reason why they decided to have that shocking revelation. And of course the film ends, and even though this film is, believe it or not, this film is like 30, I think it's like 30, wow, it's 35 years old. Yep. Can you believe it? A 35-year-old movie. The first one, which is 3 years older, that one's 38 years old, that one. So basically in 2 years, John Carpenter will probably celebrate the 40th anniversary of that film. This one was already 30. This one right here. Now, this is not the sequel to the remake. This is a sequel to the original film. So, when you see this in the description, it will say Halloween 2, 1981. The reason why? Because the remake also was called... Because the sequel to the remake was also called Halloween 2. They even used the same Roman numeral thing they used on this one. But, overall, this is actually a really good film. This one actually... The reason why the deaths are actually more bloodier than they were in the first one, because they upped the budget for this film. Because the first one was kind of independent. This one had a major studio backing it, which is basically Universal, which I believe was also the same company that made Child's Play, if not mistaken. But this one was actually still really good. And aside, this is my second favorite slasher film series. And this is actually one of 3 that actually had multiple sequels in the 80s and 90s. The other, of course, was the other 2 were Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th, which I've already covered those 2 already. So, 9 out of 10. Awesome film. Next comes a film that not a lot of people like very much, because the biggest problem with this film is that there's no Michael Myers. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Also, one noteworthy thing about this particular film, it's the first film to have it's the first Halloween film to have a subtitle with it, because starting with this very film up until the 8th film, they had a subtitle with it. And the reason why people don't like this film is because no Michael Myers. Now Carpenter Now, here's something interesting about this film. This film is like, wow, this film is actually longer than the previous two Halloween films. Now, Carpenter himself is only listed as producer of this film, but this is also the last film he ever was involved with, because I think he was also listed as producer of the remake, but for the 8 official films that came out for Halloween, overall it's been 10, but of the 10 films before they kind of rebooted with the 7th film, this is the last official film that John Carpenter ever did with the Halloween series. Unlike Wes Craven, which after the 3rd film he didn't come back to the series until the 7th film. In the case of John Carpenter, this was the last time he got it. And this one was also released through Universal. Now, the story for this film is completely different. Now, the original plan was, like, after they had killed off Michael Myers in the 2nd film. Now, this film came out, I forgot to mention this, came out in 1982, a year after the 2nd film. Now, here's what the plan was. The plan was to do an anthology film series after the 2nd film. I think that the reason why that people didn't like this one too much because the change was so drastic and the film was called Halloween. Now, this is the most Halloween-y. This is probably the only film that actually deals with Halloween itself. And the big plot of this film is Exploding Mask. And apparently this owner, who basically stole a piece of Stone Age, apparently he wants to kill 10,000 children across the country with his mask. Yeah, and Jamie Lee Curtis herself actually is kind of in this film. She's a voice over phone, but that's her. She's uncredited, but she's actually in the film doing a voiceover. Now, the main character in this film is Tom Atkins, who actually has worked with John Carpenter before, so at least you have a John Carpenter regular on this project, on this film, despite the fact it's not a John Carpenter directed or even written film. Now, I have heard that he was also on set. He was also on the shooting for this very film every day when this film was being shot. But I think it's an okay film. I don't think it's either a bad or a good film. But because of the fact it's been stepped down, but people want Michael Myers, so they brought him back in the next film. So to be nice, I want to be nice to this film. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. It's not a terrible movie per se. It's just that the biggest complaint with this film is no Michael Myers. But I think it just changed because it was so jarring. Because the year prior, because you had Michael Myers, and this one, no Michael Myers. Alright. Next one is this film right here. Halloween 4, The Revenge of Michael Myers. This one came out in, if I can find the date here for this one. Excuse me, maybe in the box it tells me. Oh, shoot, I must have misplaced the disc. The film itself came out, I believe, in, let's see. I'm trying to look for it, but I don't remember. I misplaced the disc for this film, so give me a second here. I want to figure out exactly. I just wanted to be sure I get this right. Okay, this one was released in 1988, which is about 6 years after the 3rd film. Which, okay, that's actually that's actually a pretty long time to keep the guy dead. Plus, this film is actually the first of a trilogy of films known as the Thorn Trilogy, which I've heard James Ralph of, who's also known as the Ingrid Vingegaard. He also referred to it as the Pink Panther trilogy because it has a similar thing: Return, Revenge, and Curse. Yeah, but it's still a great film overall and revived the character. If you want to know how much money this film grossed, this film just kind of doubled the budget a little bit. The budget for this film was $5 million, and the film only grossed $17.7 million. So, not that much. Yeah. But, still a great film overall. I am going to give the film a 9 out of 10 because it was a great return for Michael Myers overall. And pretty much when it comes to change appearance, Michael Myers doesn't change his appearance that much. The only thing it does change about him is his mask, which I have heard in some films the mask looks really bad or just really crappy. So 9 out of 10. Alright, that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode, which will be triple feature number 12. And I'm going to go over the last 3 films of the original series before the reboot in 2007. And how I feel about them. Okay? So until then. Actually, there was like 4 films left, so I'm going to go through 5 through 7 next episode. But the final film, I'll do that on its own. Okay? But until then, I will see you there. Bye.